Hello, and welcome to week 7 of our MAT081 course for summer 2022. So we are currently in week 7, and then next week is week 8, and then that's it. It's going to be a wrap for our summer course. So hopefully you're feeling good about ending the course on a successful note, and it has been a pleasure spending these last several weeks with you over the summer. But before we go and before we depart, I do want to talk about the 2 remaining assignments of the course. So during week 7, you have exam 2. Exam 2 is going to be due by the end of the day on July 13th. So I scheduled the Let's Meet session this week for July 13th at 3 p.m. So the goal of the Let's Meet session is going to be to ask any questions you have as you're reviewing for the exam. So if you haven't taken the exam yet by 3 p.m. on the 13th, you can join me at the Let's Meet session and ask any last minute questions you have. Or if you take exam 2 earlier in the week, you can use the time at the Let's Meet session to ask questions about the exit exam, which we are also going to talk about. That's coming up in week 8. First of all, let's talk about exam 2 because that is the one that is due this week on July 13th. So exam 2, the same setup as exam 1, so you should be used to the processes and procedures for exam 2. So make sure that after you take exam 2, right away you submit your written work. And then also you want to make sure, here's what's really important, you want to make sure that you have a printed version of the geometry formulas or the geometry formulas and the conversion sheet. So it's a 2-sided document. It has the metric and American system conversion factors on one side, and then it has all the volume and perimeter and area formulas on the other side. So the reason I specifically say print it out is because when you take the exam, you will be in Respondus Lockdown Browser, and Respondus Lockdown Browser prevents you from opening up other applications on your computer. So even if you have it saved on your computer and you've been looking at it electronically this whole time, you won't be able to access that during the exam. So you actually want to print it out on a piece of paper. So an actual piece of paper, put that through your printer and print that out. If you don't have a printer, hopefully you can get yourself to campus or you can get somewhere where you can print out this document. It's 2 pieces of paper. So definitely make sure you have one of those ready to go when you sit down to take exam 2. Also, for exam 2 and the upcoming exit exam, this is your chance to put all those good test taking strategies to work. So recently we had a discussion board and the focus was how to study for an exam. And so many of you shared so many good tips that you learned after watching the video in the discussion board. For example, a lot of you said you're going to start trying to do practice problems without your notes to see how well you understand the problem. And then that will help you identify if it's an area that you need more practice on, or if it's an area that you're confident with so you can focus your energy and time on other areas. So try to complete the problems on the review guides for the exams without your notes and see if you're able to accomplish them. And then if you get stuck, of course, you can always go back and use your notes. But another good test taking strategy that you guys talked about was explaining something to somebody else. So a lot of you said that in the last discussion board. While we're talking about the discussion boards, let's go ahead and go to it so you can look at it. So remember, it was how to study for an exam. So if you want to go back and watch that video again, there were some really, really good tips. And then also you guys shared some really, really good tips. So again, the 2 tips that stood out in my mind were trying examples without your notes as you're studying. And then the second one was explaining a concept to somebody else, even if there's nobody home. Explain it to the dog, explain it to a stuffed animal, explain it to a plant, because really it's for you. It's to help you identify if you understand something well enough to be able to explain it to someone else. And if you do, and if you can confidently explain a process or procedure to somebody else, then you really know that you understand it as well. Okay, so here's a little spoiler alert. For the 2 bonus points this week, you are going to email me with 1 new study tool that you learned from this discussion board. So go back and recall something you learned from the How to Study for an Exam discussion board, and you're going to email me and tell me 1 new tool that you're going to implement as you're studying for the upcoming exam 2 and the upcoming exit exam. I'll say it again at the end of the video, but now you can already start to think about it. Okay. So while we're here, let me also just give you some information about the exit exam, even though it is not until week 8. But if we go into the modules, there's some resources I want you to be aware of. So in our current module, I have the review guide for the exit exam. So there's a few resources here. This first one is just a blank review guide. I recommend you print it out and complete it on paper. So this is not in the More system. This is an actual review guide. You can just open it on your computer and complete the problems on a separate sheet of paper if you want, but I always think it's nice, if possible, for you to print it. And then this is the review guide for the exit exam. So it is 8 pages. So hopefully you have the ability to print that. And then you can complete it as many times as you want to see if you are, or how well prepared you are for the exit exam. Then the next item in that module is the answer key. Now there's 2 versions of the answer key. The first one is just answers only. So that means, say you worked on problem 23, you can come look at the answer to problem 23. Or say you just finished problem 7, you can come look at the answer to problem 7. The next version of the answer key has all my handwritten solutions. So let's say you check the answer in the answer key and you didn't get the same answer, then you can come look at the worked out solutions and see exactly how we arrived at that answer. So this is the second version of the answer key. So you can see all my steps and you can see how we arrived at the final answer. So you definitely want to start using those resources as a way to prepare for the exit exam. Better to start early than later. So I would get your materials together and at least print it and get it ready to go. So as soon as you're done with exam 2, you can focus your attention on preparing for that exit exam. Okay, that's it. That's all I have for you today. So again, the secret phrase, I guess it's more than a phrase this time, but you are going to email me to get your 2 bonus points. You're going to email me and tell me, let's go back to that discussion board, 1 strategy you learned from the discussion board about how to study for an exam that you are going to implement as you're preparing for exam 2 and as you're preparing for the exit exam. So send me a Canvas message or an email with that, and I'll make sure you get your 2 bonus points. Thanks again for watching all the way to the end, and have a wonderful